Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to go on a pretty wild journey. We're on the hunt for the hidden codes that, believe it or not, shape pretty much everything in our world. We're going to go from the very heart of a quantum computer all the way out to the fabric of the cosmos and then right back into the silent depths of our own minds. And our whole adventure starts with a really simple question about a machine that looks, well, anything but simple.
Okay, so just look at this thing. It's got to be one of the most beautiful and, let's be honest, one of the weirdest looking machines humans have ever built. But that look, that bizarre design, it's not just for show. It is the absolute key to unlocking a totally new kind of reality. And understanding why it looks this way, well, that's our doorway and everything else we're going to talk about today.
So here's the deal. The entire purpose of this giant golden chandelier is to protect something almost impossibly fragile at its very core. And those things are called qubits. Now, a normal computer bit is simple, right? It's a 0 or a 1. But a qubit, it can be both at the same time. That's what gives these machines their incredible power, but it's also what makes them so delicate. The tiniest vibration, the slightest change in temperature, and poof, the whole calculation is just gone.
And this is why it has to hang like a chandelier. Suspending it like that gets rid of almost all vibrations. And see all those tiers? Each one is a different stage of a crazy cooling system, getting colder and colder and colder, until right at the bottom, it's just a tiny fraction of a degree above absolute zero. Colder than deep space. And all that gold and copper? That's shielding, protecting those delicate qubits from any stray electromagnetic noise from, the rest of the universe. Every single piece of this design is there for a reason.
So maybe the best way to think about it is this. The chandelier isn't just a machine. It's a symbol for our whole journey today. It's this incredibly delicate, precisely engineered environment that we have to build just to get a peek at a hidden layer of reality. And with that idea in mind, let's zoom out, way out.
All right, so we're leaving that one human-made machine behind, and we're zooming out to look at the basic structure of the universe itself.
When you think about energy, like light pouring from the sun, you probably imagine it as this smooth, continuous flow. Kind of like a ramp that you can be anywhere on. That's how it feels to us. But here's the crazy part. Our intuition is totally wrong. The universe, in reality, works a lot more like a set of stairs. You can be on one step, or you can be on the next step up, but you can never, ever be in between the steps.
So, what does that really scary-sounding word quantum actually mean? It's way simpler than you think. The physicist Dr. Michio Kaku put it perfectly. He said it means you chop it up. That's it. That's the big secret. You take something that looks smooth, like that ramp, and you realize, no, it's actually made of a bunch of individual, countable pieces.
And those tiny, individual, chopped-up pieces of light, well, they have a name. They're called photons. The light that's hitting your eyes right this second isn't some smooth wave washing over you. Nope. It's a constant stream of trillions and trillions of these tiny, individual particles. And this isn't just a weird quirk of light. As Dr. Kaku says, this applies to everything. Our entire universe, when you get down to the very, very bottom layer, isn't a smooth, continuous painting. It's a particle world. It's more like a pointillist painting, made up of countless tiny, separate dots, period.
Okay, so we've talked about the physical building blocks of reality. Now let's pivot to something a bit more abstract, the hidden language that seems to describe it all so perfectly.
I mean, this brings up a huge question, right? If the universe really has this deep hidden structure, this world made of little bits and pieces, then what language is that structure written in? Well, it seems like the answer is mathematics.
And you absolutely cannot talk about this without telling the story of Srinivasa Ramanujan. He was this incredible, self-taught mathematical genius from India who came up with thousands of original theorems. But the way he did it was, well, a little unusual. He claimed that the ideas, the equations themselves, were given to him in his dreams by a goddess. He felt like he wasn't inventing them, he was discovering them.
And this is where the story goes from just amazing to a genuine scientific mystery. So in 1920, literally on his deathbed, Ramanujan scribbles down these incredibly complex formulas he called Mach theta functions. To him, they were just beautiful math. They had no connection to the real world. And for decades, nobody else knew what to do with them either. Then, more than 50 years later, physicists who were studying black holes had this jaw-dropping realization. Ramanujan's functions perfectly described what they were seeing. So the question is, how? How could he possibly have known the math for a physical object he couldn't have even imagined?
So this brings us to a really fascinating turn in our story. Up until now, we've been talking about discovering the universe's hidden code.
Now, let's look at what happens when we humans try to write our own code, a code for intelligence.
Yeah, it really helps to think about two different kinds of code here. On one side, you've got mathematics, this discovered code that just seems to be baked into the universe. And on the other side, you've got something like Python, a language we invented to build our own logical worlds, like AI.
Now, when we talk about AI, it can sound like some kind of dark magic, but if you strip away all the hype, a large language model, or LLM, has one single, surprisingly simple job. It's a prediction engine. You give it some text, and its entire goal in life is to guess the most likely next word. That's it. That one little function is the key to the whole shebang.
So how in the world does it do that? Well, it's basically a three-step process. First, tokenization. It chops up our language into little pieces called tokens. Just think of them like Lego bricks. Second, it creates a meaning map. It plots every single one of those tokens on a huge, multi-dimensional map, which gives each word a kind of GPS coordinate for its meaning. So words like king and queen end up being close neighbors on the map. And third, and this is the real breakthrough, is something called an attention mechanism. It's like a spotlight that the AI can shine on just the most important words in a sentence to figure out the exact context. It's how it knows that bat means a flying animal in one sentence and a piece of baseball equipment in another.
Okay, so we've gone from the cosmic scale all the way down to the digital. For our final stop, we're going to turn the lens all the way around and point it inward, at the hidden structure of our own personal reality. So we found all these amazing hidden layers of code in the universe and in our own technology. But what about us? What's the fundamental background code of our own minds? Is there even a word for that raw feeling of just being alive? Well, it turns out there is. It's just a word we've kind of forgotten. Koinonia. It comes from the Greek words for common sensation. It's not one of your five senses. It's the sum of all of them. It's that raw, baseline, background feeling of being alive. You know, that split second when you first wake up before your name and your to-do list and your whole sense of I come rushing in?
Now, just to be super clear, this isn't synesthesia. That's when people's senses get crossed, like hearing colors. And it's not kinesthesia, which is your sense of your body's movement. Koinesthesia is way more basic than that. It's the feeling that you even have a body in the first place.
The scholar Alessandro Aloisi put it so beautifully. He called it a silent companion that is with us at all times and never abandons us. It's the constant, quiet hum of existence that our entire conscious self is built on top of.
So let's tie this all together for a second. We started with that incredible golden chandelier, right? An environment we built just to see the hidden quantum world. We learned that that quantum world is built on tiny, separate particles. And that particle world seems to be perfectly described by a hidden mathematical language, a code we find. Then we started writing our own code to create artificial minds. And finally, we looked inward and found a hidden, fundamental feeling that is the very code of our own consciousness.
From the quantum computer to the cosmos to our own consciousness, it's all part of this incredible human quest to understand the hidden layers of reality. Which kind of leaves us with one last big, mind-bending thought to chew on. What if we, our science, our mathematics, our very awareness, what if we are just the universe's way of slowly waking up and becoming aware of its own elegant, hidden structure?